We talked right before practice started a few days ago. Just kind of talk about what you guys have worked on so far in the first 3 days. How you guys have been kind of building up as you get ready for the season, what you've been working on specifically.
I would say ball control and defense, serve receive. It's been so hot and muggy in the gym, we really haven't been able to do a lot of high impact stuff. But we have been able to do a lot of ball control work, and that's normally what wins and loses in our game. So it's been a few days of full-on fundamental training.
You have obviously a few new players that you're adding to the mix that they practice with the team in the summer when they're doing captain's practices. This is really your first chance as coaches to be able to work with them and do stuff with them. Just talk about your initial impressions of the 3 new freshmen. Obviously, you saw Ashley this spring, but just what you've seen out of Tori Dixon and Steffi Suter and Stephanie Nucci so far.
Well, I think first of all, we had Ashley Whitman during the spring, but she had a leg injury and really didn't train probably for that last half of that semester. So we're getting a fresh look at her, and she's looking very, very good right now. Her volleyball IQ is very high for a player her age. Tori Dixon has just been a beast as a hitter and a blocker, and that's been one of the real pleasant surprises of camp. She's a lot further along as a player than any of us thought she would be. So Tori Dixon, big hitter, big boomer, and a great blocker. Steffi Suter came in with an injury to her left shoulder, and that's held her back a little bit, but she can really handle the ball. She'll see playing time this year at least as a defensive specialist, defender, and a passer. Stephanie Nucci has been slowed by some illness. Not sure what it is at this point. She's practicing, but not really practicing hard yet. She's got a lot of things to overcome in terms of dehydration and some other issues. But within another few days to a week, I think she'll be back on track, and I'll be able to give you a better judgment in terms of better evaluation in terms of what she's going to be about this season when she returns to full strength.
This is your second season where you guys have really had 2 setters where both sides can kind of compete equally, and you have 2 highly skilled setters. Talk about being able to have both Stephanie and Mia, and the competition. Obviously, to be the better one is going to be the setter going into the season. But just talk about how you're able to assess it and how it helps the team to have those 2.
It's obviously from a coach's point of view, it's a great situation because we'll have 2 quality setters. For the 2 setters, I'm sure they grind away every day on wondering how the competition is going to work out. But for the coaching staff, it's a real advantage, I think, to have 2 people that can play that position. And the added advantage is that they're both very similar, both tall. I think they both deliver the ball from the same height over the tape. They're very similar in their movement patterns. That's probably even a greater advantage than just having the extra number, is having 2 people who play the game in a very similar fashion. We'll be very steady in the setter position.
How do you feel this team came in? Obviously, a lot of times you guys have had the players be able to work out and work with each other over the summer, but it really seems like this team maybe even had a little bit more of a chance to do that as opposed to teams in the past with 13 of the 14 players in there, and we talked about that earlier. Just talk about how their frame of mind and how they came in on the first day, and did that really help them be a little bit further along than maybe some teams in the past had been?
Well, it sure did. Lauren Gibmeyer, our team captain, did a great job of motivating the players throughout the summer to stick with the task in their lifting, their sprint work, captain's practices. And you touched on a very important consideration, and that is that when they came in the first day of training, they had already gotten to know each other. They'd already worked out a lot of the early season muscle tightness and so on. So by the time they got here the first day, they were ready to go. It almost seemed like it seems that way today. It seems as though we're already further down the road than we have been in quite a while. And here it is, only the 4th day of practice coming up.
And with your team that far along, how did you kind of plan out practice at the beginning of this session in the fall practice, knowing that that's where they'd be? What type of things did you want them to work on early? And did that kind of change your plan and your schedule with how you're building this team up to be at its best when they start the season?
Well, in a certain sense, but we always start with the ball control fundamentals. And then no matter how experienced of a group you have, no matter how much they've worked and trained together, you still have to start at the beginning. And so we've done that. What it does allow you to do, though, is when you finally do get to team and system and full group training, you can move more quickly through the early phases of that. The returning players, from what I understand now, did a great job of teaching the newcomers our system and how we did things, how we run our blocking, how we run our serve receive offense, and so on. So we're going to be able to start up right away with some very advanced stuff.